Welcome to The Profile. I'm Gary Dunn, and in the hot seat, the chair, the couch tonight is a beautiful lady, Annie Neal. How are you, Annie?
Well, thank you for having me on here. It's fantastic.
So nice to have you on the show.
It's a real privilege.
Yeah, thanks. You've just come all the way from Melbourne, where you live.
Yes, been living there for the last just over 4 years now.
Visiting the real footy state, WA.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's just a slower pace and beautiful weather, you know.
Yeah. So I want to start with, where were you born, Annie?
I was born in London, southeast London, the Rough End.
Yeah. Southeast.
Southeast. And my mum and dad had a pub in Surrey Docks.
Yeah.
And she left him when I was about a year old.
Wow.
And we went to live with my grandparents. And she remarried when I was about 7, and we moved down to Dorset.
Yeah.
And from Dorset, we emigrated. We came with the £10 Poms.
Yeah.
Were you the same?
Yeah, I was the same.
Everyone in their Sunday best on the aeroplane. Yeah. And I didn't want to come here.
So how old were you when you...
About 12.
Yeah, I didn't want to come. I did a milk round when I was there, and I wanted to stay with that family.
Yeah. Oh, really?
My mum was devastated.
But you know why though? Like, we watched it. Have you seen that doco on the Beatles?
Yep.
How they changed the world.
Yep.
We watched it last night, and it was just going off.
Yeah.
You know, and why would you want to leave that?
Yeah, exactly right.
I was heartbroken. Like, coming to Australia was like going to the moon.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, little did I know.
Yeah,
Stupid.
you look back now and just go, wow, what a great move.
Yeah, nothing would have happened. Well, I don't know. It might have been different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hated it.
So, talking about the Beatles and that whole revolution in those days, was that a reason for you to become involved in music? What was the moment for you where you
think
this is what I'm
they
going to do?
obviously had a big influence, because it was so revolutionary, you know, and it wasn't just about the music, which was amazing. I mean, nobody had heard harmonies like that before and stuff like that. But there was this whole wave of change going on, where the thinking was different, where, you know, England was, they hadn't long come out of a war, and everything was very strict and very straight, and suddenly you had this major change going on.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so you had like the Beatles in the north and the Rolling Stones in the south, and you had all this other stuff coming over the Atlantic with real blues guys, Motown, and you were just bombarded with it, you know. And I think the first time, for a lot of singers as well, the first time I heard Aretha, that's what it's all about.
And so, do you play an instrument?
No,
no?
Spoons.
Just spoons.
Yeah, tambourine.
I bet you that would be interesting too.
No. But I never had a singing lesson either.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's today where you've got so many institutions like where I teach now and Whopper and places like that. But you probably did the same. You learnt as you went.
You didn't have iPhones either.
No,
or,
nothing.
When you learned a song, you had to put the record on and listen
Write
over and over and over. Yeah.
Write the lyrics. When I moved out of my house to go to Melbourne, I found boxes and boxes of handwritten lyrics. Yeah. But that's how it sinks in.
Yeah, yeah.
You've got to have the passion, you know?
Yeah, passion beats everything.
Yeah.
So your first band, Soul Purpose?
That's what I think.
Is that P-E-R-P-O-S-E?
Who wrote that?
My producer. P-E-R-P-O-S-E.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Look,
we'll go with
Soul
Purpose.
Yeah. Well, you know what to put up with.
I think it was. I mean, I'm going to probably upset a few people.
1966, that was the only year England won the World Cup.
Is that what you remember?
No, that's what I'm thinking, but as a 16-year-old...
I would never follow football, but there you go.
Okay. Well.
But it was strange, because I hadn't had a very happy home life.
Yeah.
And had a big fight with my mum. I mean, she wanted me to get, you know, the straight
At 16,
job.
That's what you do.
Well, yeah, but it'd been going on a long time. We had a relationship a bit like George Bush and Saddam Hussein, you know, it was one of them.
Is that something you regret?
No, not at all. Not at all. But because of that, I left home and I moved in with a dear lady who I'm still friends with, and she had a house in North Perth, and we lived there. It was rough as.
What was her name?
Gail Pether.
Yeah.
She owned a big shop called Memory Lane in Bonmarsh. Great.
I remember Memory Lane.
Yeah. So I lived with her, and then I don't know how it actually came about me getting up to gig not a gig, but I just got up to sing in a club one night. And it was like a movie. I got a call the next day and they said, do you want to join a band?
Yeah.
And I went, yeah.
That was Sole Purpose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a clue. I was so dumb, you know, like didn't know anything about music at all.
My producer doesn't know anything about spelling.
He's going to get you afterwards.
He will, don't worry.
Yeah, so I did that and I loved it, you know. So what I was saying before about not wanting to come to Perth, it was going off musically.
Yeah.
There was so much live music in this town, you know. So I was very, very lucky. And then one night we were doing a gig and I think it was the club that turned into Gobbles.
Yeah.
Because it had an upstairs.
Yeah,
Yeah. And Billy Thorpe was playing there, and he'd gone from this clean cut, you know, pop singer to this long haired blues guy. And he came in the club one night and he just said to me, you should go to Melbourne. So I thought, yeah, all right, I'm going to do that then.
Packed up, moved to Melbourne.
I did.
What happened when you got there? The Browns?
Well, I got in touch with him and he kept his word because he said to me, I want to help you.
Right.
And there was a Maori, a fantastic Maori singer called Leigh de Castro.
Okay.
And he'd been with the Browns for a pretty long time. And I don't know what went wrong. I don't know why he left, but they
bands, wasn't it?
Just bands.
Yeah.
But he was bloody great, you know. So they got me in, and again, they were all, there was Les Stackpool, who I'm still great friends with today. Ronnie Peel played bass, Ray Arnett played drums. And they must have thought I was just stupid, but they persevered.
Yeah.
And I learnt a hell of a lot from them. I learnt to use them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were very patient with me. And I worked with them for quite a while. And we went up to Sydney at one point. And I remember a load of gangsters coming in this club and shooting the place up, and somebody throwing me under a table, and it was just, you know, insane. But Les Stackpool ended up getting the job as the guitar player with the hair band.
Yes. And so, hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and you've still got some.
I've still got some. But no, I mean, I wasn't involved in that.
Yeah.
It was, you know, I had no idea about that show.
Yeah.
But he rang me and he said, look, they need another female and come up and audition.
Yeah.
And I hate auditions. I hate them. I don't like either side of them, you know what I mean?
You hate the math test at school.
Yeah, it was just, it's really confronting. But because I'd played with Les, I felt comfortable with him.
Yeah.
So I went up to the theatre and they had, I don't know if you ever saw the show.
Hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where'd you see it, in Perth?
In Perth.
Oh, well, I would have been in it.
Yeah, I know.
So
That's when I first saw you.
I don't know if I took my clothes off then, though. I don't know, because everyone keeps saying, oh, what's the show? Everyone took their clothes off, and it was, you know, not even...
I didn't see you take your clothes off.
Oh, good, that's
I would
all
have been
right
very excited when I was seeing that.
But the thing was, the stage was set up, it was like the big peace sign, and then they had all the scaffolding and the band was up there. And I went and sat up with him and sang, and it was dark.
Yeah.
So it was cool, you know, and then all of a sudden, all the lights went up, and there's the cast is sitting there. There's Marsha Hines and, you know, all these people.
Yeah.
Anyway, got the gig, and off we went. I was in Melbourne for a while, and then we went on tour. We did the whole. We went to New Zealand first of all, and that caused a real ruckus because they had a court case which lasted 11 days. You know, it's obscene and all that. But all it did was create more.
Yeah,
it was
all that hair.
Yeah. Hippies, dirty hippies.
Much
but
prefer show.
it just created more interest, and it was booked out every single night.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then we came back to Australia and toured all around the major cities and stayed in each city about 6 or 7 weeks. And that was my education.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm saying, people go places now and learn, and we just learnt as we went. And you had the luxury of playing to 2,000 people every night.
Yes,
So you learnt to get comfortable on a stage and take direction and all that stuff.
So you moved to London?
No, yes, I did. Sorry, when Hair finished in Australia, it was like, well, what do you do now?
I'm going to just go by these notes here.
I know, it was his fault.
Yeah.
But I'd been in a relationship with a guy in the show for about 4 years, and he decided to go to London. He was American. And I thought, well, what do I do? Do I stay in Australia or do I take a chance? And the aim was to maybe throw myself into a bigger pond where I'd have to struggle, where I'd learn more. And
because you're in your comfort zone, you'd relax with what you were doing.
Yeah. I mean, I'd been in this with this family, because they were. It was the first family that I felt I was part of.
Because obviously your dad left at a young age.
Well, I've never met my dad.
No, yeah. You were brought up by your mum and you were fighting with your mum. And all of a sudden you had a family.
That's right. That's right. It was fantastic. And one of the guys recently got in touch and he said, he was in the cast as well, and he said to me, I want to know what that show meant.
Wow.
Do you know, it's family.
It just meant everything.
Yeah, it did.
Cool.
First time anybody hugged you or told you they loved you, you know what I mean?
Acknowledgement.
Yeah.
There's no humanity around anymore. I see it every day.
I give it out though. I love hugging people.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was like make your mind up time. So I thought, well, I'll go back to the UK. That's my roots.
Yeah.
And I'll never get a gig.
Yeah.
So I went over, and he and 3 of his friends, who were also Americans, they had got an appointment to audition for the London Hair.
Yeah.
So they said, come with us. So I went, all right. So I went down, and they all auditioned, and they were great. But I ended up getting the gig.
Wow.
Because they couldn't get visas. That was the problem, you know.
Okay.
So I went and did the show. He and I broke up because it was a really volatile relationship. I was always walking around with a suitcase. And I did that and ended up sharing a flat with 2 other girls from the show.
Yeah.
And we rocked up one afternoon for a matinee, and everybody was out on the pavement crying and carrying on, and the theatre roof had caved in.
Oh, wow.
It was an insurance job.
Yeah.
Someone had done it.
Yeah.
But then suddenly we're all out of work. So we went back to our flat and, you know, had a party and consoled ourselves. And I got a call the following day because I don't know if you know about Robert Stigwood.
Yeah.
So he was one of the biggest entrepreneurs in the West End at that time. You know, he had Jesus Christ Superstar, he had Hair, he had Grease, he had the Bee Gees, he had Olivia Newton-John. He was mega.
Yeah.
So
He called you.
No, he didn't call me, but his company called me and they said, do you want to come into Superstar? No audition. And I went, yeah. Because I had plans. I thought, well, I've been fortunate enough to work in the West End, so I can just go back to Australia and fine. So that was totally unexpected.
Yeah.
So the other 2 girls in the show go, oh, it's all right for you. What are we going to do? All we've done is been offered this funny little show that Richard O'Brien's written, which was the Rocky Horror Show.
Oh, funny little show.
Yeah.
Look at
and Richard had been in Hair in London, and he was like really, he was a cool bloke.
So you're like the real grassroots of musical theatre in a way, all the modern.
And it was grassroots. Not like today where everything's slick, you know, it was the rock musicals more than anything else. So we were all back in work again.
Wow.
Yeah. It was
Happy
great.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, especially doing a show like that. And because Stigwood's aim was to make it the longest running show in the West End.
And it did run for a long time.
It did.
Didn't it?
I think it went about 8 years.
Yeah.
Not as long as the Mousetrap, but you know. So, but a lot happened in between that because there was a guy playing Jesus called Chris Neal, no relation, and he ended up becoming a big producer for RCA Records. So, whereas normally they would get the session singers in, and you know, it's hierarchy of them, he pulled the girls from the show to do it. So there was myself, a girl called Sharon, I keep hitting this, sorry. There's a girl called Sharon Campbell and, God, what's the other one's name? I can't remember. It's terrible.
She's going to kill you if she sees this show.
I'll think of it in a minute. And so we went and did all the recording for him. And he was recording people like Sheena Easton and Charles Aznavour and all those people. But it was that time when...
I've got to ring the thermometer.
Name drop.
Yeah, name drop.
Oh, I've got a few. You're going to be ringing that all night long. So, and then when people heard you, they go, oh, who's that? And you suddenly started to get rolling along, which was great because you had that job anyway in Superstar, but there was all this other stuff going on as well. Yeah. I'm not letting you get a word in edgeways.
No, that's all right. You toured the States with Fancy. Who was in that
what
band?
happened was I was in Superstar, right, and the company manager came up to me one night and he said, oh, there's been a bloke at the stage door and he was a guy called Mike Hurst, who'd been one of the Springfields.
Yeah.
And he'd become a producer as well. And he said they're desperately looking for a female to front this band, who they were a session band.
Yeah.
But then they'd had a girl that had gone in, and she was like a bunny girl, you know.
Did you fancy that?
Did I fancy that? No.
Yeah.
What, her?
No, the band.
Oh,
Fancy.
Well,
Sorry,
I
just
actually,
made a joke.
you know, I didn't have that image. That wasn't me.
Yeah.
And they had this girl that was like, you know, all the boobs and bum and everything, and she couldn't sing because they'd done a.
You got boobs and
I've got
bum.
boobs, but I didn't show
bum.
them. I didn't, even though I'd been in here and I'd take my clothes off. It wasn't
Yeah.
something that, you know, I was more into music.
Yeah.
So anyway, they got this girl in the studio and they'd done a version of Wild Thing, and it was all breathy and sexy and everything. And it slowly started creeping up the charts in America, and they said, well, we need an album. They got her in the studio,
Couldn't sing.
couldn't cut it.
Yeah.
So they're desperate. So to cut down the cattle call, they went to all the West End theatres. And I went out to a big studio in Wembley called Delane, Leigh in London, and there was 6 of us. One of them was a chick called Sonia Christina, who was married to the drummer from Police.
Stuart
Copeland.
Yeah.
And they gave us a backing track. This was the audition. They gave us a backing track, lyric sheet, just sing.
Wow.
So I went and it was pretty simple. So I went and sang. And Mike Hurst came out, he said, we want you. So I went back to Superstar and told them, and I said, will you let me go? And they said, yeah, you know, if it's going to do you good. They were great.
Right.
So I did finish the album for them. All the backing tracks were laid down. I did it in about 3 weeks. And then we did this mega tour of America. And I'd never experienced anything like that. It was quite terrifying.
Yeah.
You know, and these 3 guys they were like top session men in London. Beautiful people. They were very good to me. But the first gig was in a place called Grand Rapids, and it was a big stadium.
Yeah.
And I remember being under the stage in the dressing rooms, and all you could hear was like thumping. I'm going, shit. It was like being thrown to the lions. But anyway, you know, went out and did it and had an amazing time.
You're an absolute superstar, really.
No, I'm not.
Well, you are. I mean, you work with Mick Ronson. I mean, who knows who Mick Ronson is? You know, on Slaughter and 10th Avenue, and also did session work with Roger Daltrey.
Yeah.
You know who he is too, and Jack Bruce. I mean, they're big names. They're
But
like,
you know how that happened. There was
they're worthy of a ring.
There was a great studio in just outside Hastings in Battle, where the Battle was, and it was called Parkgate Studios, and there was a lot of like big names lived around. But McCartney lived down the road. He used to use that studio a lot. Roger Daltrey and all those guys. So I used to go down there on a weekend and just do back vocals for anyone.
Yeah.
And I'd come home with pockets full of money, which was great because by that time I was a single mum as well. And you just did it, you know.
How
But
many children do you have? One.
Just one. I wish I'd had more.
Yeah.
I do.
And what's his or her name?
Danny.
Danny.
Yeah.
It's definitely a him.
Definitely a him. Yeah.
And how old is he?
He's now 40.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Do you have grandkids?
I've got one granddaughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's beautiful too.
I ask you that, I know.
Because you've got grandchildren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see you on Facebook and stuff. But
Yeah.
so, I mean, when I first wanted to interview you as well, my producer said to me, "Who is she?" And this is great because, you know, seriously, you are someone who's done a lot.
I don't talk about it much.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, because it's that thing to people going, oh, you're name dropping. And the minute that happens, I'll claim up.
Okay, you can name
Ring
drop.
the bell.
We can ring the bell. You name drop. So, okay, you moved back home to Australia in 1987.
Yeah, but there's a lot more in that you've missed.
I'm just reading what he
I
wrote down.
I know,
so.
no. But with, I was going to say, like, when I came back from America, we did a tour, Clancy did a tour with 10cc, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
Did a big tour with them, and I remember one night being in, where do you come from in the UK?
Where are you, man?
Newcastle?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Manchester Trade Hall, Free
Yep.
Trade Hall, and they were the headlines, 10cc
Yeah.
were the headline act. We were touring with them. And I remember sitting on the side of the stage one night, and Eric Stewart was there, just him, and he played "I'm Not in Love," and I sat there and I just thought, that's going to be such a big hit.
Oh, and it was.
And it was such a special thing to witness. And they were great. Like, I was going out with them at night trying to find a peppered steak at 4 o'clock in the morning and all that silly shit you do, you know.
Yeah.
But then the band, I don't know what happened. It gradually, you could feel the vibe.
The musicians.
Yeah.
Were all nuts.
So, yeah. So I went back down to see everyone at Superstar one night, and the company manager said, can you come in and play Mary? And I'd never played it.
Wow.
So I went down, and they said, do you want to take the role? Do you want it? And I said, yeah, fine.
Of course.
So I played Mary for about a year, and then Jesus and I became an item.
Wow.
And my son Danny's the result
Wow.
of that.
There you go.
Yeah. Do I ring the bell or what?
Yeah, go
yeah,
for
there
it.
you go.
Yeah, you can. You ring away. I reckon we'll be ringing a few more times. Yeah. So, okay, you moved back to Australia in
Then I moved
1987.
back to,
Can we talk about that now?
Sure, yeah. Sorry.
And you struggled to get a gig.
Yeah, no one wanted to
My
know.
God.
Yeah. I was ringing people and they're going, who?
Was that about the time I might have? No, it was 1991. I think I rang you and said, "Can you fill in?"
Probably. Yeah.
So tell me, how hard was it to get a gig?
It was
when you-
hard.
Yeah.
It was really hard. Yeah, because nobody knows you.
Yeah.
No one cares. So the only thing that happened was I don't know. I was married at that time as well. I met somebody.
Jesus.
No, not to
No.
he and I kind of parted, and he actually died in '97, which was very sad. But I met a guy just prior to wanting to come back to Australia, and the deal was at that time, you have to be married. So we got married, and
It's a marriage of convenience, or you
no,
loved him, or
no, it was good for a while. And then one night we got invited to a do at the Hyatt, and it was a film awards night or something, and Greg Short's band was playing. And the guy that's all right. And the guy that organised it, he said to me, I want you to sing. And I said, there's 2 chick singers up there, it's a bit rude.
Yeah.
He said, I don't care. So anyway, he organised it. I got up and sang Rainy Night in Georgia.
Yeah.
The next day I got a call from Greg, do you want to join the band?
Yeah.
And it just snowballed from there. And I was working with, as you do, yourself, working with lots of different units.
Do you think you're good yourself? Do you say, like, yeah, I'm a good singer, I'm a good performer? Is it something you think about, or has it just happened naturally for you?
I don't. I think there's always an insecurity there.
Yep.
And I think a lot of
100%.
it to do with childhood. I think if you've had a childhood where you've never been complimented or anything, there's always that feeling that you're not quite good enough.
Yeah.
But there's only one way to make that right, and that's to work your arse off.
Because sometimes for me, you get on stage and you go, I didn't really do that well. You think to yourself, or you have this picture of yourself, and then people come up to you and go, I know. It was amazing, you were amazing.
But that's because you've got a high personal standard.
Yeah.
I would never go out and do a gig half-assed.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah. Okay, so Perth Jazz Orchestra. I want to talk also about the Divas with Helen Matthews and
beautiful
Sue
June
Bluck
Smith.
I'm trying to get Sue Bluck on the show, but
I'm seeing her tomorrow.
What am I going to talk about?
You're joking.
Well, that's what I said to her.
I know. I'm seeing her tomorrow on Nagger.
Wow. Give her my love.
I will. Yeah. But they were great, and Helen, she was a real mover and shaker. And
she's someone who really influenced your...
No, she inspired me as much as her work ethic. And the thing that was interesting about coming to Perth, I'd never really delved into jazz.
Yeah.
And suddenly...
You were just brilliant.
I'd never class myself as a jazz singer, never. But you suddenly find yourself working with really great jazz musicians from the con.
Yeah.
And you got to get your shit together.
Yeah.
And she organised a lot of gigs, and of course with Sue and Jenny and Kerry, they'd been Birdland for a million years. So they just all locked in, and June and Helen and I had to fit in around them. But it was a lot of fun, And we had Graham Wood as an MD.
Yeah, and rest in peace.
Oh, I loved him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it
such
breaks
a
my
loss.
heart
Yeah.
to think, because we did so many gigs together.
And he was so young.
And what a mark he left.
Yes.
You know, I remember him.
So well respected.
Totally. Totally. I remember him when he was a student, and Helen helped him a lot as well.
Yeah.
And he grew up to be such a responsible guy, and as a musician, really supportive.
Yes.
You know, I heard there was something somebody put up on Facebook a long time ago about, oh, you know, it was a female. I can't get a gig, you know, and Graham Wood and blah, blah, blah. And I fired in. And I thought, for him to work with 6 feisty women that had healthy egos, he did good.
Yeah.
You know, you earn your space.
I have enough hassle with one feisty woman. Never mind 6. But
you imagine?
Yeah.
6 women. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it feels funny for me to be back here, even though he passed away. You know, I still would expect to see him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we never stopped laughing.
Yeah.
Never stopped laughing.
Fun guy.
A funny story about him.
Yes, please.
We did a gig at the Universal Bar on Friday nights, just he and I. And a guy came in one night and he used to set his keyboard up on the stage, because he'd do the next half of the night with Amanda D and her band.
Yeah.
So this guy's walked in the door out of it, and he's gone to Graham's keyboard, bah, 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 on the keys. And Graham went, mate, don't, you know. So the guy looked at him and he did it again. So Graham picked him up by the arse of his trousers.
That's not like Graham.
And just went, psh, and this guy was like a great big arc and landed out on the paint. He went, I told you. He said, don't mess with my gear.
Wow, very protective.
But yeah, he was beautiful.
Keyboard.
Beautiful person. Yeah.
So you also taught at Whopper.
Yep.
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 How did that eventuate? Who was that?
I don't know. I
Rick
think
or Mike Eastman or someone?
it was, but it was Graham too.
Yeah.
And I think it was basically they knew what I'd done.
Yeah.
Or had some sort of idea of what I'd done, and said, right, let's get you in.
Yeah.
And it's the same where I work now in Melbourne, you know.
Well, Collards, isn't it?
Yeah, Australian College of the
Yeah,
Arts.
yeah.
And I've watched.
So you're teaching vocal?
Yeah, I'm a vocal tech teacher.
Wow.
But, you know, that place has really evolved. It's gone from a very small learning place.
Obviously, they're getting good funding from the government for those things there?
I'm not sure. I don't delve into all that. But whatever money they get, they definitely churn back.
Yeah.
And when I go back, I've got to go to the new campus and check all that out. So
how long have you been in Melbourne now?
for about 4.5 years.
And you're ready to come back?
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be sad to leave a lot of people there because they're amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been happy, and I think that
You looking for a gig?
I don't know. I'm just going to roll with it. I'm just going to go whatever happens. As Leigh Stackpole said to me once, he said, "You always fall on your feet,"
Yeah.
and I do, and I never thought about that. But yeah, I miss my friends.
Yeah.
I miss the people. You know, to move to another state when you're older is difficult because you've already established all your friends,
Yeah.
and I do miss them.
And where's Danny living?
He's in Melbourne.
Okay.
He works at
So
a
you're gonna leave
Majesty's.
him? Come on.
He's fine. He's got a girlfriend. He
Yeah.
doesn't need me.
Yeah.
They're happy, and he's got a great job at Her Majesty's Theatre over there.
Great. So he's in the industry. Yeah.
He's but he doesn't want to delve too much into it. You know, he works on Tough Mudder and he MCs at the AFL on the weekends.
Right.
He just works his butt off, you know. So he doesn't need his mum.
So what was the first single you bought?
Oh, it must have been one of the Beatles, for sure. Would have been, what was that? She Loves You or something like that. Yeah.
What would your earliest influence by a musician or band have been?
I think the Beatles again.
Beatles again?
Yeah.
Have you had any other jobs throughout your life? No? That's it. You're just 16, sweet 16, singing, never stop.
Never stop.
Wow, you're a lucky person.
Yeah, I have. I have been lucky.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at today's industry and the way it is, it's very difficult for young musicians to get in.
Yeah.
So to say that you've had a profession completely in the music industry, I'm blessed.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So you came in with your friend Belinda tonight.
Yes.
What were you listening to in the car on your way here?
We didn't. We just talk.
Okay.
We haven't stopped talking since I've got
Really?
here. Yeah.
That's surprising. She's your best girlfriend?
She's
then?
my best buddy.
Okay.
I watched her have a baby. I've watched her go through everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's your favourite band of all time?
I haven't got one. How can you say that?
Well, I don't say that. He tells me what questions
He gives
to
you all
ask
the
and
questions.
I ask you.
I think
You
it's
know?
really hard to whittle it down to one.
Can you whittle it down to something or not?
Favourite band of
do you
all
want to pass that
time.
question?
Yeah, let's pass that one.
Okay. Take 10 points off your
Moving
score.
right along.
So if you were stranded on a deserted island, or you knew you were going to be, what album would you take with you to listen to?
Aretha's Greatest Hits.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Best Perth band you saw live? Or who would have that have been?
Oh, God. Well, you.
Thank you.
Got to be you,
I'll
innit?
give you that 50 later. Okay, no worries. Your favourite TV show growing up?
Oh. Well, I used to love all the music programs, like Top of the Pops and anything to do with music,
Yeah. Doctor Who?
Doctor Who. Yeah.
So what does the future hold for you?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't care.
You just...
Whatever
Living
whatever
carefree
happens. Yeah, I might write a book.
Yeah.
If I can remember stuff, I might write a
You're doing all right tonight.
book. Just useless with dates.
Yeah. Do you have any unfulfilled ambitions? Something you wish
I
you
want to
could have
travel. That's the thing now. I mean, I've travelled a lot, you know, with work and stuff like that.
done, but not as pleasure.
Yeah. And I really want to take my time. There's people that I need to see.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people dropping off the perch, as you know, only too well.
Yeah.
And people in England that I was in here with, I'm still very close to them.
Yes.
And they keep saying, when are you going to do it? You keep saying.
Yeah.
So I want to do that.
So it's time for you now to make a bit of a change in life.
Yeah. Yeah, go and have some adventures.
Good for you.
You know, I want to do that.
Yeah. That's great. So do you collect anything? Is there
I need music.
Yeah, nothing at all?
Shells. I go down the beach regularly and collect shells.
I think
Down on the Mornington Peninsula.
Yeah.
Collect them.
So I was talking to you the other day and you were painting.
Yeah, but walls. I don't paint pictures.
Oh, okay.
I'm renovating a house.
Walls.
I'm over it. I'm permanently walking around with a paintbrush.
Is that because you want to sell the house?
I want to sell the house.
So you're sprucing it up
Yeah.
and getting it ready to...
Yeah,
move
I like
on.
doing that. I do like renovating places.
Do you have the music on when you're painting?
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
You know who I went and saw? If you asked me the last concert I went to, you were going to get to that?
No, it's not on here. Oh, the first and last concert you went to, I skipped that because...
The last one was
What was the
John
last one?
Cleary.
Oh, right.
And I went and saw it. I love John Cleary. But the only problem was the seating was really bad, and all I could see all night was Cornell Williams' bum, which was nice, but I would much rather have looked at the band, you know. But so I have him on. I just crank him up, and all his live gigs, he's fantastic.
Because he paints. He just painted the whole house, haven't you, Al? You just painted the whole house, and I would call him and, what are you doing? I'm painting and listening to music.
It's so boring.
No, it's great.
Oh.
It's great just listening to music.
Oh,
And
it's great.
and
I keep falling off the ladder and stepping in the paint, and the brush and the roller goes everywhere. It's a good job nobody else is there.
Well, you know my wife, Jackie.
Yeah.
I remember when we were living in Corrine, her best friend, because I was painting the house and I had a big bucket of paint, and she walked through the front door and went straight into it.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's me.
Okay, no worries. So what would you put on your gravestone?
Can I swear?
Yeah.
Because Jim Rossiter and I had this chat one night.
You're going to catch up with Jim?
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah.
I love him.
Great.
He's
yeah.
great. But we were talking about that one night, and he said, "What would you put on your gravestone?" And I went, "What the fuck was that about?" And he went, "I've got to nick it." I went, "No."
You got to nick it.
Yeah.
Such a London thing, is it? Nick it. You know what I mean? You know. So is there anyone you would recommend to come on the show? Anyone you can think of that we haven't interviewed that...
Sue Black.
Sue Black.
She'll kill me.
I mean, I've called Sue. You've got to come on and talk about your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, what am I going to talk about?
Yeah. She's a private person.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Beautiful person.
Yeah, she is. And she's another one that was, because she's got a lot of musical knowledge, and I don't.
Yeah.
Theoretically, I'm not very knowledgeable at all.
Come on.
I'm not, honestly. I mean, I know more now than I ever did, but when we were working with the Divas, you know, she was the one that would be there at the piano and going, this is this. And
she's very technical. And
and very professional.
She came up and played in the night after at Gobbles for a couple of years. And
Did she?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And you know, I used to think, what are you, like, we're just playing just covers and, you know, and she's this technical genius.
Yeah, she is.
And putting up with us.
Yeah.
A beautiful person.
She is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed having her around. So, is there any other people you would like to mention? Someone you might have forgotten?
You know what's going to happen? I'm going to walk out and I'll go,
Yeah.
should have mentioned that person.
Yeah.
But I think all the people that have had patience with me along the way and have given me work and have been supportive, I'm just grateful for that.
Yeah.
I've never been competitive. I'm not a competitive person, but I guess there's a personal ambition there.
Yeah.
But that comes from what we were saying before, being passionate and working your ass off to get there,
So you gave me this tonight. I'm so grateful for it. Annie Neal live. Is that okay, Stormy?
That was at the Charles Hotel, and I think that's the best album I've ever done.
That was in 2006?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was with Paul Pooley, Freddie Grigson,
Great players.
I think Robbie Pisano, Rick Eastman, and Simon Stiles played as well, and Bob Patient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good players.
Bob had lots of patience working with you.
He would have to.
So, okay, don't forget to subscribe to the profile, please, people. Please like our videos, comment and let us know if you like it or you don't like it, or who you'd like to see on the show and who you think we should interview. www.theprofile.com.au. So, did I get it all right? Anything you want to say, Stormy? No? Al? Good?
All good?
Good. Annie, is there something that we don't know about you that you could take the lid off the bottle and...
Not so much in my career, but I only just found out this year who my dad is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So my son Danny bought me an ancestry DNA test. And even the origins were weird because they obviously tell you where you come from. And I'm 66% French.
Wow.
Not a tiny bit English.
I always thought you were fantastic.
I thought it was pure Cockney. But then you scroll down and it gives you lists of highly potential cousins. And there were 2 cousins, first, second cousins, that had the surname of the person who I was told was my godfather.
Wow.
Yeah. So my mum was very naughty when she was married. So I've been in touch with the family.
Yeah.
And one of them is an author, and my father, the real guy, they were all river pilots on the Thames.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've got pictures of them, and it's incredible. And they've given me all this information. And because my mother wouldn't tell me anything about my dad, I've always longed for a photo. I want to know what half of him is me.
Why would your mum have wanted to keep that from you if you don't mind me
Because I
asking?
think in those days it was taboo.
Yeah.
And, especially getting divorced as well. But the fact that she had an affair when she was married and I was the product of that, I don't even know if her parents knew.
Wow.
So she didn't, and I actually look like him too.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back, and that's another reason why I want to go back to the UK. I want to meet these people, and they've been amazing.
And
been incredible.
How old is your father now?
He's dead. He's long gone.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he's long gone.
That's it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just very interesting. So I feel like I've completed a lot of stuff, and so now it's time to have some fun.
Yes. Well, good for you, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you, my
being
darling.
Such a
Thank
good sport.
you so much. It's
And,
been great.
Yeah.
Thanks for fitting me in.
No, mate, you've certainly done a lot.
Yeah.
And
It's been good. Been fun.
And you're obviously humble about it, and it's what a great life to be able to do what you've done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for
And I'm
coming on
glad
the
you're
show.
still gigging too.
Yeah. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, Annie Neal.
Thank you.
Absolute
Thank you.
legend. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you
coming
very
in.
much.
Thank you for watching the profile again, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.